Good afternoon, everyone. Myself, CA Nilasha Nogza, on behalf of Women and Young Members Excellence Committee of ICI. It's my pleasure to welcome you all to Yashaswini and Ideal Series 58. So, what is Yashaswini? Yashaswini and Ideal is a Wednesday series of programs conducted by Women's and Young Members Excellence Committee of ICI for the Women CAs and by the Women CA. This series is extension of Sky High Symposium, which is concluded its 100 episodes. It is one of the committee's initiative to not only disseminate information to women members on technical updation and non-technical skills, but also to empower and inspire the women members to come at forefront and realize their verbal skills at public forum. Now, let me introduce our today's speaker, Manjari Sabnis ma'am. Manjari Sabnis ma'am is a chartered accountant with over 25 years of experience in corporate finance. She is working independently as a consultant and certified social auditor, conducting impact assessments. Her expertise spans finance, strategy, compliances, and administration, and CSR leadership. So I welcome Manjari ma'am. Manjari ma'am, please take the charge of session. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Nilasha. That was a generous introduction, and very happy to be on this webinar, especially Yashaswini, which is meant for women and young members of the Institute. So today's topic is the growing relevance of social impact assessments and what role we can play, especially as women chartered accountants. I would like to have a short presentation for the same. Let me share it. Is it visible now? Yeah, thank you, thank you. So let me share a brief synopsis of what I would like to discuss over the next 45 minutes. I'd like to start with sharing a background of what a social impact assessment means and what is the need for it in today's context. So we would like to understand what three major organizations are doing currently here. One is the United Nations, second is the Niti Aayog in India, and the Social Stock Exchange. The second part would be understanding what social impact assessments actually are. What are the frameworks and standards that we need to know as professionals to be able to conduct these assessments successfully and professionally. And third part, of course, is opportunities as to where we can add value. And especially as women members, I feel that, we are very empathetic and good at understanding human relationships, which is a very critical factor in conducting social impact assessments successfully, especially because we can understand the context of the targeted beneficiaries of all social benefit programs better than sometimes even our male counterparts. No offense meant. It's just an observation over the years. So let's proceed. If you have any questions, do share them in the chat box. And after the session ends, in the Q&A session, I'd like to address them. So we talked about United Nations. And we all know, most of us do, that in 2015, they came together, 193 nations of the world came together to identify their priorities in the field of sustainable development. It is a critical area, as we all know today. And 17 sustainable development goals were identified and set with a deadline of 2030. So that was a 15 years time frame in which all these nations, member nations, are expected to achieve these goals. So we are already in 2025 and only 5 years are left for us as a nation to achieve those goals. But unfortunately, the case here is that if all these 162 nations which have been ranked by United Nations in 2023, we are 112th, which as a country or a nation of this size, we are very behind, as you can see, in terms of achievement of these goals. So the national leadership, as well as the regulators like SEBI and everyone, they are very keen to speed up the process. And in that context, Niti Aayog in India is working extensively in identifying the sustainability development goals in the Indian context, and measurement, analysis, and giving a push to um, investments in the social sector. So, with that background in mind, I think the social stock exchange was incorporated. Now we have a NSE SSE, we have a BSE SSE, we have almost more than 80 listed entities on the NSE Social Stock Exchange, in the sense they are registered. And I think quite a few of them have also listed for funding, that is, accepting funds from public at large. Now, little more about the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals so that we can understand where we are uh, in terms of various different 17 goals in the social sector. So this is a simple bar graph where, across the x-axis, we have all the goals listed down, 17 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals listed. And below we have years as to how we have progressed. So in short, I will explain the color coding here. Blue means achiever, that is the top level. Green is front runner. Uh, Yellow is performer, and red means we are lagging severely behind. So it's called aspirant. We aspire to achieving the goals, but we are not yet there. As you can see from the graph, in India, none of these goals are showing a blue bar, which means in none of the 17 identified sectors, be it poverty, hunger, malnutrition, or gender equality, sustainable cities, clean environment, clean energy, whichever goals you take, in none of the goals we are at, we are showing a blue graph. So we are not achievers anywhere. But at the same time, lot of the bars are green. So that is a positive development. If you see in the earlier years, even where the color coding is showing red, progressively we have moved to either yellow or green. So for a nation of our size and our kind of demographics, this also is an achievement. So lot has been achieved, but lot is yet to be achieved, and that is why the whole focus to gain maximum capital outlay or capital infusion into this sector. Uh, that's the brief background of the importance of the sector and what kind of work is required. Okay. So if we take just one example, SDG 2, zero hunger. If you see the map of India, large part of the central belt is still an aspirant. So the basic need, as in hunger management, is still not yet met in the middle belt of India. A lot of NGOs are working in this sector. Also, you have government initiatives like midday meal programs. We have NGOs like Akshay Patra Foundation, etc. So they are working in this field, and I have shared some of the links here of the annual reports which they have published. So these are not necessarily all social impact assessment reports, but a lot of the stories uh, included in these annual reports can very well be part of impact assessment reports. So I have shared this as reference material. So if you see that, a lot of creativity is required in writing these kind of reports. So as women members, we also have this field open to us. If you can permit me, I'll share one of the excerpts of the report just for as an example. One second. Yeah. So, once, is it showing? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay. So these are the kind of stories that are usually shared in these impact reports. And when we write these social impact assessment reports, I think apart from what is mandatorily required now for NGOs which have listed for funding, there are specified forms, prescribed forms given by SEBI. So we will come to that later, in which we have to submit our annual impact reports. But apart from that, these kind of impact assessment reports are also required by many organizations, although it may not be a mandate because they help in creating awareness. They also help in raising funds. So once these kind of reports are available and they are credible reports, then they use these reports to pitch with impact funders or even retail investors can go through these kind of reports and raise funds. So they basically write about, they speak to the beneficiaries, cover the beneficiaries in the report, and like how they have covered this child is the person saying, I love coming to school. Here I get the nutritious meals I need for my routine activities and also learn good habits like respecting our elders. So, and what the teacher is saying. So these kind of stories are covered. So when these stories are accompanied by facts and figures, statistical analysis, and all of that, it makes for good report writing. So this is just one thing I wanted to share. Can move on to the next slide. Okay. Uh, so what is the current significance? We were talking about the growing relevance of social impact assessments. Uh, like we discussed a while ago, the government would like to divert large amounts of capital. Now, funding is one important factor, which is, always been critical and not allowed the government or even NGOs to achieve the desired results. So, to divert large amounts of capital to the requisite projects, the social stock exchange was formed where even the retail investors as well as corporate investors can invest. The comfort they get is, if the entities are registered on the social stock exchange, it means that their compliances are in place, or if they are listing for funding, that means that the projects are going to get audited. So that is where social audits come into play, because social audits are compulsory for um, projects listed for funding on the social stock exchange. Now, when I'm using the word social audits, I think SEBI has come up with a guideline to or a circular which says that the social audit word should be substituted by social impact assessments. Necessarily means the same in the current context, but the only difference is in a social audit report, you would typically express an opinion as a social auditor that these are the findings, and based on these findings, this is my opinion. Whereas here in the social impact assessment, you just share the findings and leave it at that. There is a disclaimer saying that it does not constitute an opinion, informed opinion, etc., etc. So that is the difference between social impact assessment and social audit report. Now, typically, non-CA members or non-professional members are also empaneled as social auditors, because there are some options, whereas where people who have worked in the development sector get to for, let's say, 3 years for postgraduates, or 6 years for graduates. They have, if they've worked in the development sector, they also can get themselves certified as social auditors. So in that context, they are everyone is called a social impact assessor, not a social auditor. Um, now, now social stock exchange, to popularize it, now what recent amendment has come in March 2025, actually, that the minimum amount that you can invest in a project listed on the social stock exchange is only 1,000 rupees. Initially, it was 10,000 rupees, but now, with effect from 19 March, with immediate effect, it is 1,000 rupees. And these are called zero coupon, zero principal bonds. So basically, these are donations that you give to the organizations listed therein. And this idea is so that the retail investors are motivated. The ticket size is not a deterrent for them. And that is how the government wants to collect funds. And that is what NGOs are focusing on. So a lot of NGOs are already registered, but a lot more are wanting to get registered. If you go to the Niti Aayog's portal, NGO Darpan, you could see literally like hundreds of NGOs working in different sectors, um, and quite a few of them would want to get registered on the social stock exchanges. Sometimes NGOs are not aware of these options, so as members of the institute, it might also be useful if we actually approach them and make them aware of these opportunities. The whole idea is to drive capital infusion towards the social sector. So, what is the size of the social sector in India? As per a Bain and Company report of 2024, the total size was 25 lakh crore rupees in FY 2024. Now, this includes the public funding, that is the government funding for all these um, uh, 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 Prime Minister Awas Yojana and PM Poshak Abhiyan and whatever, all these government schemes, but also the CSR grants, which are going from corporates, so individual donations. So all of these donations together, whatever capital has been employed in the social sector, amounts to rupees 25 lakh crore approximately. So which means lot of money is also flowing into the sector, and uh, even more necessary. So it amplifies the need to have some sort of a regulatory process in place in terms of having periodic audits or impact assessments, so that there is appropriate measurement and appropriate check and counterbalance on how these funds are being spent. So that is where social impact assessments become very critical. I already shared the more than ET registration already on National Stock Exchange, Social Stock Exchange. So how these entities can be registered and everything is available on the NSE SSE link. And there is a detailed guidebook. So if members are interested, they can definitely visit that link. When we're looking at social impact assessment as a process of assurance, what are the different things we will look at? One is, what are social impact assessments or social audits in the Indian context? What is the assurance framework, as in what are the standards that we need to be aware of, or what frameworks are being used internationally in the social sector and what we need to be aware of? And what is the role of accountants? Now, internationally, the definition given by United Nations Environment Program in 2007 is it is the most widely accepted definition. So it is not necessary that we might only be handling projects which are mandated by the government for social impact assessments. It is also possible that the Indian counterparts of big world global NGOs want to get these impact assessments conducted, or sometimes even individual NGOs may want the impact assessments to be conducted so that the donors are satisfied that the funds that they have deployed for specific charitable purposes are actually being used to fulfill the stated intent. So we need to understand what the internationally accepted definition is, and which is given by United Nations Environment Program. It is a process of research, planning, and management of social change and its consequences, whether positive or negative, intended or unintended, arising from policies, plans, and implementation of different projects. Now, why research? Why does the project start from research? If an NGO is planning to implement any project, it starts with the research as in conducting a baseline assessment. Conducting a baseline assessment means what is the situation, which and what before the problem that they are trying to address is solved. So it's just to understand the before and after situation. Even for example, now we were or I was conduct a part of a fieldwork assignment where we were conducting a baseline assessment to understand the level of English language proficiency in government schools. So it was very important for us to have our data points identified, collect the data from all different audit samples, like all different schools that we had identified or shortlisted as per our sampling methodology, to understand what was the current level of their English proficiency before the project was implemented. And then you conduct a midline assessment and then the final assessment. So we can track the progress. So it starts from the uh, the state in which you're actually researching how to implement the program. It also is important, for the NGO to maintain data, baseline data, so that we can compare it with the final data and understand what kind of achievement they have, what is the level of achievement of that NGO in implementing the stated intent. So NGOs by themselves, quite a few of them are not very professionally organized, or they do not know what kind of data would be required by a social impact assessor. So if we are involved in the process right from the beginning, we can, actually share our requirements so that it starts from research, planning of the entire project. So we know when to conduct the midline assessment, what is the time frame when to conduct a final assessment, or if the process is ongoing, then what kind of changes we would like to see in the way they are maintaining data, or what kind of rigor we would like to see in the way they are implementing the program. So research, planning, and management of social change or its consequences, whether intended or intended positive or negative. Now, any kind of project, definitely the whole intention is to achieve a desired positive social change, but it will have its own negative consequences. Even if you build a school in a rural area and you educate a lot of students there, a lot of them will move to the cities and they will not pursue the vocations of their parents. So the parents, uh, which could be agriculture, whatever, so they are left with no um, resources to carry on with their traditional vocation. So that is an unintended consequence. But nevertheless, it will be there. So all those consequences are also to be understood, measured, documented, and course correction measures, if any, are to be suggested. So that is what is meant by management of social change. So when you're contributing to the course corrections, and when you're sharing your observations for improvement, either in the measurement of the uh, 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 even in the measurement of the impact or in the process itself, so all kinds of um, consequences, whether positive or negative, have to be identified here. And once the impact assessments are regular, the uh, it helps to build strong database management systems, and the tracking methodology is set. So we know whether the traction achieved in the first year, whether that same traction is continued in the second year, whether the implementation has slowed down, improved. How is the progress of the project implementation? That one can easily understand. And it is also helpful in understanding whether the particular project is a right fit for the targeted population. Suppose watershed management is being implemented in a cluster of villages, and one of the villages is actually not agriculture based. Their primary vocation may be tourism. So then even if this project is implemented there, it may not necessarily help in augmenting the income. There might be some argument that watershed management will actually improve the water supply to the area and it will aid in tourism also. But that was not the primary stated intent of the project, and whether it will help to that extent is the question. So these kind of analysis are important, and they are helpful in course correcting the project. So which also basically checks whether all the investment that has flowed into these projects, all the capital expenditure, um, whether it is being rightfully expended to further the social causes for which it was intended. And if there is concrete impact or concrete evidence of very positive impact, then it is also very motivation for people who are implementing the project as well as for the donors. Now, in the Indian context, when we refer to social impact assessment or social audits, this is a definition which is given by National Institute of Social Securities Markets, so which is running the certificate course for social auditors. And this is accepted by SEBI also. So it is an independent, objective, and reliable examination of the impact of a project, program, or a project-based activity which is run by a social enterprise, which is governed by any self-regulatory organization or any other regulatory body, to see whether it is achieving its stated intent, all its operations are in accordance with its strategic intent, stated strategic intent and planning. Also to check its performance in terms of its outcomes and impacts, whether it is achieving all the outcomes or impacts which were initially expected to be achieved. And the third thing is we can share ways to improve the impact measurement or even the performance by way of a management letter. That is the instrument of change. So this is in our context. What are the different five major elements of this kind of engagement? One, it's a three-party relationship between the social auditor or the impact assessor and the responsible party. Responsible party usually is the NGO. Now, by NGO, the social enterprise, we will later on, as our discussion progresses, I will list the prerequisites of who can list on a social stock exchange and whatever. But for any NGO, we can conduct these social impact assessments. And of course, the third person in the triparty relationship is the intended user. Intended users could be the impact funders or the retail investors, or they could be the management of the social enterprise, even beneficiaries, or government, or the public at large. Then there is then, of course, the project or the program which is to be covered, the project monitoring framework. So generally, theory of change is the most popular project monitoring framework here. I will spend 2 minutes on it later. Audit evidence, just like in any other audit, we need audit evidence and a social audit report or a social impact assessment report. Now, the prescribed formats and everything is available on the SEBI website also. They have their circulars and notifications, which prescribed formats are to be used for entities which are registered on the social stock exchanges. And this is a theory of change which is, maybe the most important thing in a project monitoring framework, which is also referred to as a logic model in a different context. So basically, you have to map out what are the inputs, what it's a financial capital, human capital, social capital, whatever network we are utilizing, what we are forming an implementation strategy to achieve the desired output. So at the output level, we need to list out the output indicators. Then after series of intended outputs, we come to outcomes. And here also at this level, we list down the outcome indicators. And these indicators are measured before, in the middle of the project, after the project implementation, and finally the impact. That is the desired impact, that desired social change, which the project intends to achieve. And then there are impact indicators. So basically, it's a structured and systematic approach to link activities to their impact. Um, Now, there's a social audit framework which is published by the CA Institute in 2023. It is more like how we have an internal audit framework, a similar one, so that the social impact assessors can have a very professional approach and focus on the quality control and materiality and all these concepts while conducting their social impact assessments. Social audit standards, these are 16 standards based on the different thematic areas of social development which have been identified. So quickly we can run through them and how they can be mapped to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So certain NGOs would have United Nations Sustainable Development Goals as their they may work on the basis of UN SDGs, but we may have to conduct audit or assessment based on the basis of social audit standards. So a mapping also I'm going to share, and some ESG reporting frameworks like GRI, the Global Reporting Initiative, integrated reporting, and all of that, IRIS, even national guidelines for responsible business conduct 2018, they, although they are more relevant in the context of BRSR or ESG audits, we need to be aware of them because certain big NGOs may also be reporting using these frameworks. Now, a question which I usually get is what is the difference between ESG audit and social audit and sustainability audit? So I have to say that the scope is entirely different. ESG audit focuses on the ESG performance of corporates. The corporates or entities for which ESG audits are usually conducted are absolutely profit-oriented business entities, and we are just kind of extending the audit to people and planet-related issues. But the entities are profit maximization entities. Entities focused on profit maximization. Here in social audits, we are either focusing on non-profit organizations. Now, they could be charitable trusts as per the Indian Trust Act. It could be societies registered under the Societies Registration Act. They could be Section 8 companies uh, as per Companies Act, or they could be for-profit social enterprises. Again, they could be listed entities, or we could be assessing the impact of CSR initiatives of corporates. So these are entirely social projects with the focus of achieving desired social change. And it could be in various thematic areas, but the focus of these entities, organizations, social enterprises, or even these initiatives is only social benefit. So that is covered under social audit and not ESG audit. Although ESG audit also covers the social, ESG's S part is there, which is the social impact of corporates. So there is a small overlap there. But by and large, the scope is different. Now, there are 16 social audit standards which the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India has come up with, like I shared earlier. And here I have shared a mapping with United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So when we talk about SAS 100, which is on eradicating hunger, poverty, malnutrition, and inequality, it is also mapped to SDG 1 and SDG 2, that is no poverty and zero hunger of United Nations Sustainable Development. Mhm. We'll leave you with that for a moment and go through. These social audit standards are based on thematic areas of social development. It could be gender equality, or it could be promoting employability and education. It could be wildlife conservation and environment related, addressing climate change, any of these. So social audit standards are more specific. They have specific standards for slum area development, affordable housing, interventions to build sustainable cities, or promoting financial inclusion, promoting digital or bridging the digital divide. That is how it's stated in um, SAS 1500, where you're creating awareness of information that is available through mobile phones, even in the most, uh, even in the interior most parts of the country. So these are the social audit standards. Typically, all social audit standards follow this structure. First, it gives the introduction where the objective of the standard is stated and the scope as to which thematic area it belongs to, whether it is health, education, gender equality, or likewise. The second part is about evaluation of social impact. So it basically lists down the process that social auditors need to follow to conduct the audit, as in each area, how data needs to be collected, how the desk review needs to be conducted, what are the different documents that you need to look at in a particular sector, whether any particular government schemes need to be understood, to see whether those particular NGOs are availing the benefits of those schemes, for example. Then you have inspection and personal interviews, evaluation questions, key metrics. And then the key impact indicators. So if you're, let's say, sometimes more than one standard is applicable. Suppose, let's say you're evaluating a project which is working on the mental health of students, young students. So then uh, SAS 2, which is based on health, that also needs to be followed, and the one which is based on education, that also needs to be followed. It is mandatory for when we are, to adhere to these standards when we are providing impact assessment for listed entities on the social stock exchange. But even otherwise, they are a very useful reference material conducting any kind of impact assessment. Mm. So when we're discussing the opportunities, obviously, whatever is mandatory, that means the social audit of social enterprises listed on the social stock exchange, or it could be assessment of CSR programs. But otherwise, also, there are many opportunities in creating social impact assessment reports. We can get really creative, as well as being particular about, statistical analysis and everything. That is how women members of the institute can add value. Um, I think even conducting fieldwork activities and actually interacting with targeted beneficiaries is also very fulfilling. Of course, it's a professional engagement, and one follows all the necessary requirements of following any professional engagement. So in that context, it is fulfilling, but it is also fulfilling to really interact with the targeted beneficiaries, and you understand what difference in this kind of programs have made in their life, and what other changes they would like to see, and actually contributing to the process and being a change vector. So in my experience, that also is a very fulfilling aspect. So when you talk about the mandatory requirements, you can refer to this link which I have shared, the guidebook, which gives all details on how we can register different NGOs on the social stock exchange. So there is a lot of scope in that activity also. All the forms are available on SEBI websites and circulars, so you can have a look at the forms, what kind of so we come to know what kind of data we need to ask for and analyze to come up with these reports. Now, prerequisites of for listing to gain funds. One is that the NGO should be having annual expenditure of more than 50 lakhs in the social sector. It could be the funding raised should be more than 10 lakhs in a particular year, and it could be registered either as a charitable trust or a registered society or a Section 8 company for it to qualify as a social enterprise. Um, Otherwise, if it's not an NPO, it can be a for-profit social enterprise and it can list on the regular stock exchange itself. Now, if it's a CSR activity, the mandate is that, if your CSR obligation is exceeding 10 crores in the previous three preceding financial years, then each and every project which exceeds 1 crore has to undergo an impact assessment. That is the mandate. It says any agency can conduct, but as members of the institute, we have a distinct advantage. How much can you really charge for these kind of assignments? Um, it is 2%. So the total expenditure on this kind of activity, assessment activity, has to be 2% of less than the overall size of the project. But the higher, or 50 lakhs, whichever is higher. So initially it was 5%, it was reduced to 2%, but in that sense it is relaxed because now 50 lakhs or higher is large enough amount for very big projects, of course. What are the other opportunities apart from what is mandated? Um, we can conduct these kind of awareness sessions, education sessions for different NGOs, outreach programs. We can engage in journalism, which is related to the social sector, covering the activities of NGOs across different thematic areas, or we could focus on one particular, because each area, even if you say promoting access to fixed assets and property for women in rural areas. Even that sector is huge. So much work is being done or is expected to be done. Gender equality, like we saw in the earlier slides, is the most under-addressed issue in the nation today. So, for example, this is just an example. So, journalism pertaining to these various thematic areas and the work that is being done uh, is also important. Um, then educating the members of the social enterprises related in the context of following best practices in implementation of projects and to aid social impact assessments. We can also have participate in corporate advisory, especially in the social aspect of ESG policies of companies. So which typically includes not just, so when people talk of ESG order in the social aspect, they're focusing on child labor and human rights and all of that, but also focus should be on employee welfare, engagement with local communities and all of that. So there also there's a lot of scope for social upgradation, which the corporates could possibly engage in. We field work agencies. Field work is also one big aspect of especially multi-state programs and how field work can be managed and all of that. So that can be taken up, or one can also conduct advisory for field work agencies. For example, if they have to go with questionnaires to and approach various targeted beneficiaries, let's say thousands, and even softwares are required, statistical analysis tools are required, and they all need guidance. So that kind of advisory is required. Um, Also, some questionnaires need to be designed on the basis of what the project actually aims to achieve. So evaluation of questionnaires, surveys, formulations. So these kind of opportunities are there. I think we are coming close to the end of time, so I will just quickly go through other things. We can be catalysts in capacity building. Capacity building is in there are many times when you go to NGOs, you observe that they are not really operating in a very organized fashion, and they could definitely improve the effectiveness of the projects and the programs had they been more trained or educated in terms of the project implementation and even in the data management systems and all. So that kind of capacity building. And another option is we can be change vectors ourselves in terms of managing the social change by virtue of being in the field, or be social entrepreneurs and or contribute to fintech related to social impact assessments. This is one just videos which I'm sharing here. I won't play the video right now, but Manrega social audit and all these kind of things, these all audits were done primarily before the introduction of social audit standards or whatever. But looking at these videos, one gets an understanding of what actually needs to be done and how big bids are, how bidding happens for big projects like these, and for the social audits of these kind of projects. So some links I have shared. How accountants can be effective as social auditors or social impact assessors, because they already have expertise in audit, assurance, attestation procedures. They are aware of the organizational policies, internal systems, processes, and controls. They have experience in the use of systems and tools for data collection, analysis, reporting. They're aware of sustainability audits, and they're aware of the assurance engagements, how they should be and how they should be conducted. So these are natural advantages to CAs in conducting these kind of assessments. So they have already demonstrated their competence in these kind of engagements. They have knowledge of reporting frameworks. They know how to use the audit standards, social audit standards, or whichever audit standards. So a qualitatively enhanced engagement is what is expected from CA social impact assessors. What is the eligibility for social auditors or social impact assessors? As per the SEBI ICDR regulations, you have to register with SRO. Now, for Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, the SRO is Institute of Social Auditors of India, for which, let's say, I am a member and many of us are members. And to become that member, you have to first certify with, appear for the social auditors exam conducted by NISM. Along with that certification, you register with one of the SROs. Now, like ICAI, even the CS Institute and CMA Institute have their own SROs. So either we register with the CA Institute, which is the most active institute in this area, and also an early entrant in the field, and then carry on with the activity. But the eligibility criteria for firms is that you should employ such people who have qualified the NISM exam, and that you've carried on social impact assessments or social audits for a minimum period of 3 years. That is the eligibility criteria for firms. And these eligibility criteria are applicable where the social impact assessments are mandatory. Now, this link I'm sharing as to which exam one needs to pass, which is conducted by NISM, a social auditor certification examination. This is the link where the details are available. Hardly any fees. I think 1,500 rupees or 1,700 rupees something plus GST. You pay, get the background material. The centers are all over India. So you appear for the exam. I think minimum passing percentage was 60 marks. So you get the certification, and with that, and with your CA Institute membership details and documentation, you can apply with the Institute of Social Auditors of India. The details are again available on the ISAI website also. So these are the steps for registering ourselves as social auditors or social impact assessors. So that said, we can definitely look for professionally enriching and fulfilling careers in this sector. I'm sharing some useful links here, the ones which I referred to in the course of um, the presentation. This is NGO Darpan, ISAI, and ISRN. It is another resource network for social impact assessors and social and audit network. So, and these are certain impact reports. Again, these reports are the ones that were published before the social audit standards became mandatory and applicable. But they can give us, they provide good reference to make interesting reports. Uh, these are my coordinates. And thank you very much for being with me throughout the session. I think over to the organizers for the Q&A session. I hope this was interesting for all of you. Let's
Sure,
begin.
ma'am. So, yeah. So we have, hello, ma'am. This is Namrata.
Hi.
We have certain questions coming in from the participants. So there is a question from Miss Medha. She's from Abu Dhabi, and she's asking, what are the assessment methods for doing such audits in India? Since standard can vary, so how is the rating or assessment done?
See, one challenge usually faced by these agencies was that different agencies were using different frameworks. Certain GRI, as you know, is one of the most popular frameworks internationally. So they are using these. Some people will go as per United Nations SDGs. That is why I have shared a mapping of Indian social audit standards and United Nations SDGs, even in my presentation. So when you're doing impact assessment for entities listed on the Indian Stock Exchange, mandate is, of course, to follow the social audit standards given by the CE Institute. But a mapping is available so that, if the NGO is already working as per UN SDG or any other framework, then the mapping is available. Even on there are various websites which provide cross-referencing and mapping as to which standard corresponds with which, goal or which other facet of another framework. Whether it is GRI, BRSR, all cross-referencing and mapping is available on different websites. I
Sure.
hope I've answered this question.
Yes, ma'am. There is one more question.
Hmm.
What is the current scenario of social stock exchange and whether this new platform is utilized as expected? This is coming from Ms. Simple Gupta from Bengaluru.
I think it is gaining popularity quite fast. Initially, when it started, it had only five listed entities, and then only two or three, like Unnati was the first one to get listed in terms of for raising funds and all. But now, if you visit the NSC SSC portal, like more than 80 I saw, they already registered, and more than 10-15 were already raising funds. So it's quite popular.
Sure.
And the NGO Darpan website, which is Niti Aayog's website for NGOs, hundreds of NGOs are listed. So it is also up to us to go and approach these NGOs and let them know the benefits of listing. And like
Sure.
you see, the finance minister has recently reduced the ticket size for investing in entity listed in social stock exchange to only 1,000 rupees. That means any retail investor can invest. So probably that awareness is not there as much as it should be, but they're opening it up like anything. It's quite popular.
Correct. So even, for
BSE
example,
also
for
has
even
many entities.
NGOs, yeah, so even for NGOs now, banks are now asking for their Darpan ID as a part of the KYC. So yeah, there is a move forward into it. Sure, ma'am. So I don't see any more questions over here. And I think your PPT was extremely exhaustive. Most of the questions would have got answered by
I hope
themselves.
so. I hope
So,
so.
yeah. So, yeah. So, I would really want to extend my vote of thanks on behalf of the institute, on behalf of all us women CAs who are trying to hustle and be a part of this ecosystem. Thank you so much for your insights, your practical insights, actually. And it gave us a new perspective to understand where we can actually fit in. And it is, from what all you shared with us, it looked to be quite practical in a way. Once, the exams and all that, once you give those, it's very doable in a way, So there are,
Absolutely. I
yeah,
think
yeah.
more than 100 social auditors might already be active within the country. But I think given the size of the social sector and the rate at which it's expanding and should expand, the scope for more. I'm happy if I'm useful today on this session. Thank you very much for the questions also. And let me reiterate that it is a very fulfilling profession, or what you call it,
Line of profession, yeah.
career to take up, because it's not just, the job satisfaction was quite good, especially if you have that mindset and you are interested in being a part of the social change or whatever. Also, would like to thank Yashaswini and the Idol platform for having me here.
Sure, ma'am. Likewise, we are also honored to have you with us. And I hope we all would want to upskill a little more, learn a little more, and keep growing with each other's help. Thank you so much again on behalf of ICAI.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Over
ma'am.
to
Thank
you.
you, ma'am, so much.
Thank you so much.
Now, Priya ma'am, you please start, Priya ma'am.
Yeah,
You
hello,
please start with
good
the
evening.
introduction of, sorry?
Yeah, can I start?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, hello, good evening, everyone. This is CA Priya Shah. So it was nice hearing everyone over here. So I want to now introduce CA Sakshi Agrawal, who is chartered accountant by profession. She is also company secretary and she has also done her LLM. She has experience of 7 years in tax, audit and compliance. She holds 25 plus certification and is employed as a mediator and arbitrator while actively writing and speaking on emerging legal financial topics. So let's welcome CA Sakshi Agrawal. Yes. Over to
Thank you,
you.
Priya. Yeah, thank you, ma'am. It was great for warm introduction of me. First, let's share the PPT. Is the screen visible, Priya, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
Okay. So first, I would like to ask the audience, wasn't it an amazing session by Manjika, ma'am? The way she broke down the growing impact of social impact assessment and how we as a CA fits into the picture, it, it's really gonna us beyond away balance sheets, right? So now let's switch gear and step into something equally exciting, that is Smart Finance 2.0. This one all about how tech, automation, and especially the generative AIs are changing the game for us in finance. From handling income tax notice to navigating the GST appeals. We have got tools today that makes the world smarter, not harder. So let's dive into it and see how we can future-proof our practice with a little help from AI. Today, we will focus how generative AI tools, especially ChatGPT, can empower us to handle income tax and GST notices and appeals more effectively. We will dive into the practical ways that this AI tool can draft the response, help with appeal, and generally make our work faster and more accurate. This isn't just a theory. We will see the real hand-on examples, the actual prompts idea, and essential tips to integrate the AI into your tax compliance workforce smartly and securely. So the first question that arises, why does it matter? Right? So the world of finance and tax is changing rapidly with technologies. Generative AI has become more than a buzzword. A recent global survey has found that 65% of the businesses were using generative AI in 2024 as compared to just 33% in 2023. That's huge jump, showing how quickly this tech is being adopted across industries. So it is clear that AI is not coming next year or someday. It is here right now. And it is transforming how we work as a CA. We need to be aware of these tools so we don't get left behind. Over the next 45 minutes, we will explore how AI is transforming the finance landscape, especially in tax practices. We will see how AI can enhance our workforces, open a new adventures for professional growth. I will be showing you practical use cases also for both income tax and GST, from analyzing notices, drafting replies, to preparing appeals. We will be talking about the real examples. For instance, using ChatGPT to summarizing a tax notice or draft a reply letter in minutes. We will also cover the best practices like how to use an AI responsibly, its limitation, and how to keep the client's data safe. With that overview in mind, let's get started by understanding the basic of the new era of generative AI and especially ChatGPT. Okay. Next, we will define what is the generative AI is and why it is such a game changer. What is generative AI? We introduce generative AI essentially AI that creates new content. In simple terms, if I say generative AI refers to an AI system that can produce new text, summarize, or other content by learning from a vast database. Instead of just analyzing the data, it generates something new. For example, you can feed it a prompt or some information. It can compose a letter, summarize a document, or even draft an appeal from a scratch. This has been revolutionary for a task like document drafting, right? So think of it as a very intelligent assistant who has read every tax law book and all the guidance out there can now use the knowledge to help you write or research. It's like magic. But of course, it is grounded algorithm and patterns that AI can make. The next is ChatGPT, the star of the show, right? Most of you have probably heard of ChatGPT. Some of you might have even tried it. I like to ask the question here. Who here have experience with ChatGPT or AI tools in their work or personal life? You can respond in the chat box. Okay, great. I see some responses. And even you haven't used it yet, then no worries. That's why we are here. ChatGPT is a conventional AI developed by OpenAI. And ChatGPT 4.5 is the latest and the most advanced version of it. but it is available in only paid version. Knowing for producing very detailed and surprisingly human-like responses. Has it described as a state-of-art language model that can draft detailed, accurate response and simplified complex information. In other words, you can ask GPT to explain a complicated tax provision in a plain language or to write a formal reply to a notice, and it will do it quite well. It is trained on a huge amount of text that is including presumably a lot of public domain or a Google search only, which is why it can be so knowledgeable. Now the third one is the strength and the limitation of it. Is the screen visible to all?
Screen is visible, ma'am, but GPT is open only, so no other screen is there. PPT is not there.
PPT is okay. 1 second. Uh, now is the PPT visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Again, the share has been gone. Now the strength and limitation. It is important to set the right expectations. ChatGPT and similar AI are excellent for drafting and research support. They can save us from tons of time on first draft, summarizing the document, generating checklist, and so on. They doesn't get tired or bored, combining to lengthy acts or case law. However, it is a key AI output required our expertise to verify and refine them. These tools sometimes makes mistake also and or hallucinate, meaning that they might produce an answer that sounds convincing to you, but it is actually incorrect or even completely fabricated. I want to stress on this. AI is not a substitute for professional judgment. It is just an advancement. We CS still have to apply our knowledge to check the AI work, ensure its accuracy and appropriateness. I would suggest you to think of a chat GPT as a junior assistant only. That is very fast, doesn't complain, but not experienced enough to be left unsupervised. We will discuss some of the cautionary example later on, including one of the eye-opening case where the AI fabricated the tax law references, causing a bit of a fiasco. So the bottom line here is that the use of AI has a powerful helper, but always double check it advice with your own professional judgment also. Many professionals and firms are starting to dip their toe into AI. In fact, amongst tax and accounting practitioners who has begun using generative AI tools, a significant portion, I guess around 27%, are using open tools like ChatGPT. That shows that ChatGPT is popular choice for early adopter in our field, likely because it is readily accessible and very capable. So we are not alone in considering this. The accounting world is cautionary, but surely moving towards AI assistant workforce. That says overall adoption is still in early age. Many of them are just exploring it only, which means that there is an opportunity for those who learns this tool now to get ahead of the curve. So now that we know what generative AI is and what ChatGPT can do and cannot do alone, right? So let's move from theory to practical. How exactly can AI assist us with specific task of handling tax notices and appeal? We will start with the income tax notice, looking at how AI can streamline our response and progress. This slides introduce our first big use case, that is using AI to handle the income tax notices. As a practicing chartered accountant, many of us would have dealt with various notices from income tax department, whether it is a simple query, a discrepancy notice, or a scrutiny assessment notice. Responding to this can be time consuming. The idea here is to show how AI like ChatGPT can help in streamlining the whole process from reading the notice to drafting the reply and ensuring the compliances. The first bullet is the notice analysis. The notice. Imagine you receive a lengthy notice from the IT department. The AI can quickly identify the key issues, the information requested, and any deadline mentioned. Typically, when we read a notice, we have to pick up the important points. What sections is this notice under? Are they flagging any discrepancy? What document do they want? By scanning the notice, AI can highlight those critical details so that nothing is overlooked. This ensures that we do not miss a filing deadline or a requirement hidden in the dense text. Essentially, AI can act like a second pair of eyes that never gets tired. It will read the entire notice meticulously and extract the essentials in seconds. The second point is automated drafting. Automatic drafting, where ChatGPT shines, is where the ChatGPT shines. Once we understand the notice, the AI can produce a draft response letter for us, grounded in the relevant tax law and even case precedents. For example, if you get a noted under section 143(1)(a), a common intimation about the adjustments in return, we would prompt ChatGPT to draft a response explaining the situation, referring to section 143(1)(a) and any other relevant details. Then ChatGPT has a knowledge of general tax concept and can create a well-defined replies within minutes. Instead of starting from a plain page, you get a solid first draft, which you can then read to it. We will actually see a specific example of such prompts and output in the later slide, so keep this in mind. The third is the compliance made easy. The third point is compliance made easy. AI can even act like a checklist maker also, or a reminder system. For instance, after drafting the response, it can also provide a dynamic compliance checklist. What does that mean? Think of it as an AI reminding you, have you attached all the necessary documents? Have you referred the PAN and the assessment here? Did you send a copy to the assessing officer to the portal or not? This little compliances tips are easy to forget when you are rushing. So AI tool can prompt to list down all the required follow-up action after drafting a letter. This reduces the error and speed up the workflows. So not only can AI help to draft the content, it can also help to ensure all the procedure boxes are ticked. So in short, we can say that AI can speed up our understanding of the notice, prepare a quality draft response, and help to ensure that we comply fully. Now, let's dive deeper into one aspect of this, that how AI can assess and analyzing an income tax notice in detail. We will look at the scenario of a scrutiny notice and even see an example prompt that you will use with a ChatGPT. When faced with a scrutiny assessment notice, there is usually a lot going on. For such notices, you need to identify the key discrepancies or issues raised by the assessing officer, note any deadlines, and note which legal provisions are to be cited. Often, these notices might list several points. Maybe the question about certain deduction or mismatch between return and Form 26 years. So manually complying to this can be boring or lengthy. AI can rapidly scan the long notice and extract exactly those points, saying all the possible hours of readability and reading. For example, if there is a discrepancy in reporting of a capital gain for AY 22-23 under section so and so, if you put this in the chat GPT, the PDF, it will give a detailed format that the issue is the unreported capital gains referred to so and so section, and the deadline for the response is 30 days. So it will save a lot of time. As noted, this can save hours of manual review thing or multi-page question full of legal language. The AI doesn't get overwhelmed. It will meticulously go through every paragraph to find out the actionable items and deadlines. This ensures no critical details is overlooked. It is like having a super fast reader on your team. So the prompt, let's do the live demonstration for the prompt. The chat GPT prompt is to get the summarization of the notice. So 1 second. Is the chat GPT screen visible now?
Yes, ma'am, it's
Yes,
visible.
ma'am. Visible.
Okay. So the prompt that I have mentioned in the PPT also, I am just selecting one of the notices, and it will just summarize it. Yeah, how you can see that how it is getting the details and issue. It is giving the discrepancy, the deadlines, and all the key provisions, whatever it is applicable here. It is just giving all the brief summary about it, and even the assistance and the best practices that we can do in this case, right? So this is how you can use the chat GPT for this. Now let's switch to the PPT again. Now the PPT is visible, right? Okay. So now the evolutionary landscape, that is notice and appeals in India. Uh, all of you would have known that there is an increase in scrutiny nowadays. So this point gives the contents about what is happening in tax world recently. In the past couple of years, especially in 23-24, the income tax and the GST department has intensified their scrutiny efforts. That means more taxpayers are receiving notices than before. Whereas some of you might have even observed that in your practice, suddenly the client who never got a notice before are getting queries or discrepancies flagged. The departments are using more data analytics and cross checks, and as a result, more issues are being picked up. In short, the taxman's net has become broader and more detailed. The second point here is the automated notice search. Uh, Automated systems are generating a lot of more cases. The point mentioned here is over that 40% more scrutiny cases are now generated thanks to the automated system. That's a big jump, right? This is likely referred to things like the faceless assessment system in income tax and the computerized processing that flags the mismatch automation automatically. For example, if the GST return does not match the income tax return, a system might auto-generate a notice. So workload for us like CAs has increased both in volume and in urgency also. When a machine is splitting out notices 24 by 7, you cannot wait your inbox is fuller than before, right? So the third one is the response demand. With this surge in notices, the demand on us to respond effectively and accurately has gone up. The point here is to state that clearly that timely and legally accurate replies are critical to avoid penalties and to ensure the compliances. Gone are the days you would take it slower or treat a notice as a rare one task. Now, if you don't reply quickly and correctly, your client would face penalty or the issue would escalate. The tax department also have become stricter about deadlines and unanswered notice can lead to orders against you without your say. So there is a pressure on us to draft the response promptly while making sure that we cite the correct section numbers, case laws, etc. to satisfy their query also. So here the question arises that why AI now? The landscape is exactly what AI tools like ChatGPT can be, the lifesaver. When notice increase by 40%, we can't simply work 40% more hours. We are burned out, right? So we need efficiency multiplier. AI can help us handle the increased volume by cutting down the time needed per notice. So also, when you're rushing, the chances of making an error are quite often, like coding a wrong section number or missing the deadlines. So AI can help you to reduce those human errors by acting as a system, support system. It's almost as if a tax authority has upgraded to tax 2.0 with automation, and we as a practitioner should upgrade to smart finance 2.0 with AI to keep it a face. It levels the playing field. Embarrassing generative AI will allow us to meet this new demand without satisfying our sanity or our evening and weekends. Now, with that contents, let's go to a practical application where we can analyze a notice. So now next we will see actually draft a response to an income tax notice using AI with a specific scenario example. So here, the scenario given here is a common one I have taken, a discrepancy in deduction claim, especially under section 80C. Many of us have encountered this. So you can claim a deduction, say LIC premium, PF, etc. And the tax department sends a notice saying that there is a discrepancy. You claim doesn't match the document or what reported is elsewhere. So traditionally, to respond this notice, we used to collect the proof, receive certificate, refer the case laws, and refer the section 80C and draft the point-to-point clarification letter. By using ChatGPT, how we can draft it. Now imagine and offloading much of that drafting to an AI. The prompt is given here. It is a well-structured prompt. Notice. So now let's try to a ChatGPT how it can help us to draft that. I will just copy the prompt here. The ChatGPT screen is visible now, no? Okay. So as I given the prompt here, now it will draft the letter. you can see it has given a draft. Would like it will be likely to start with the addressing to the assessing officer, then the subject has a I reply, PAN number, other details, and everything as if we would have drafted a letter, right? So, as we can see, the outcome here was that it saves our time while maintaining the legal accuracy also. But the draft that is made by the chat GPT, you have to review it. It will only save your time to compose the letter, but it will also need an review. You as an expert then review the draft, check the section number are correct and all the facts match the client's case or not. You might need to retreat a sentence also or to add a missing details also. But 90% of the work is done, I guess. And because ChatGPT has been trained on a formal letter and legal language, the tone will be approximately formal and respectful by default, which is great for official correspondence, I guess. The slide mention guides that AI use a formal tone. Even we can give that also for it. So, but one thing I want to emphasize on this that while AI drafts are huge time saver, we must review it and customize them. Maybe the AI draft cites the wrong subsection or includes a case law that is actually not applicable to it. It is our job to catch this, right? So, however, in my experience, for sometimes straightforward like TTC, ChatGPT usually does a great job referring the general provisions correctly. It doesn't always know what exact facts are there, so how add to that detail. But having a well-structured letter to start with is a big relief, especially under a tight deadlines. So for income tax response, the practical workforce is ready. That is, first it will read the notice. AI can help you to read the notice. Then AI will also help to draft the reply and you have to verify and then respond. It makes responding to notice much easier and less daunting. Now let's switch gear to GST notices, which has their own challenge and see how AI can help you in that. So GST notice can be a big difference from income tax notice, but they are equally important, if not more frequent these days. This slides emphasize the use of AI for GST scenarios. Many of our clients face GST issues like matching the ITC, mismatching of ITC, or getting a demand notices for tax shortage, etc. The AI approach applies to GST notice also. So first of all, it helps us with the review and identifying the issues as it has helped us in income tax. So for instance, let's get an instance. One common notice is a discrepancy between the ITC claim in GSTR 3B and versus the ITC auto reflected in GSTR 2A or say 2B for that. Traditionally, we would have manually reconciled those. AI can give that notice or data and quickly spot out the difference. GST notice says that you have claimed X amount, I guess 100 rupees. Then the ITC allowed, that is 90 rupees. It is likely referred to missing invoice from the supplier Y. So if it is an audit notice listing several issues, AI can list down that clearly, right? How we have done in the income tax notice. We can just put the PDF there and give a prompt to the chat GPT. It will just make that work for you. Essentially, it will help to pinpoint what exactly needs attention. So you can act fast. The second thing it can help is drafting appeal. Drafting appeal in GST. Let's say you got a GST demand order that you believe is incorrect and you want to appeal it, generative AI can comprehensively appeal draft, citing the relevant GST acts, sections, and summarizing the evidence. This points even qualified the benefits like saving up to 10 minutes per cases. Honestly, for a whole appeal, I think it will can save even more time for them. For example, an appeal letter to a first appellant authority under GST typically includes a reference to order number, a brief background, grounds of appeal, praise for relief. ChatGPT can outline that structure and even incorporate the language of relevant GST provisions. Like for say, as per section 16 of CGST Act, the ITC denial is incorrect because of so and so reasons. It may cite the rule or even the case presented if known. We have a detailed example of GST appeal prompt coming on the later slide. So hold on for that thought. The third is how it can help is stay updated. It is very interesting, right? It suggests that the AI continuously monitor the legal updated in GST, ensuring us to use the latest rule. Now, out of the box, ChatGPT has the knowledge cutter. However, you can feed its new information. A specialized AI platform might integrate the update. The point here is that an AI can track the changes in law much faster than we can manually. Think about all the GST notification and circular that comes out, and AI would parrot those information of that change and relevant to your case. If your prompt is right, it is a factor in change. For example, consider an amendment up to 2024 in your prompt. So in practical, while drafting a reply for an appeal, you would ask the AI if they have any recent change to the rules in question. This ensures that the response isn't citing the outdated law. It is like having a research assistant who always reading GST Council updates and CBIC notification in the background. To illustrate, suppose a client receive a notice about an ineligible ITC claim due to some rule change in 2023. If you and your AI assistant wasn't aware of that update, you might respond incorrectly. But if your prompt ChatGPT with the content or it has been updated, it might say, note, a 2023 amendment to Rule 36.4 now restrict ITC in such cases, thereby alerting you. So leveraging AI can help keep us on the top of the ever-evolutionary GST regulation. The key message here is that dealing with GST notice and appeal can also streamline with AI. It is not just for income tax. CAs in indirect practice can similarly benefit, whether it's analyzing reconciliation issues or drafting reply to show cause notices or even filing the drafts for appeal. Now, having said that contents, we will now drill down into analyzing a GST notice, similar how we done in the income tax. We will see what key elements to look for in the GST notices and how the prompt can be used. The key elements in GST notices would be when you get a GST demand or a show cause notice, what are the key elements? It would be the applicable tax type, the reason for demand, the deadlines for payment or appeal, right? So this notice often cites specific sections of CGST, SGST, or rules, which you need to note down. Understanding the precise tax rate or penalty rates and the clause level. It is crucial to respond properly. Missing one detail and the deadline to appeal would be devastating. If you miss it, you will lose the right to appeal. So thoroughly analyzing the key. So AI can help to take the GST notice, which may have a several pages with annexures and breakdown into clear actionable items. It will list down the reason for demand, the applicable tax rate, the discrepancy amount, the deadlines to pay, the deadline to appeal, applicable section number, and everything. So let's take the prompt and let's get it to. I'm just attaching one of the notice for GST and adding the prompt that I have added on my slide. It will just give the it's taking a lot of time with it. Let's move forward. Yeah. It has analyzed the reason for the demand, applicable GST rates, composition of the total tax as per annexure, the deadline for appeal, and even have given me the next steps that what I can do for in that piece, right? So, there's a quick note about it on the contents of GST collection. It has increased 12% in 2024, that indicating a high scrutiny level. This means that the government is collecting more taxes, which often correlate with catching more evasions or errors. And they are scrutinizing file more closely to sustain the revenue growth. So expected more demand notice as they tighten the enforcement and another reason for it. So related to this, perhaps some of have experienced the drilled GST demand notice have, right? So by using this prompt, that is on the slide, you have much clearer roadmap of how to tackle a GST notice, what data to gather, whether you need to prepare for an appeal, how we will get. So for the appeal, now let's get to the next slide. Drafting an appeal. So you got a GST assessment order, say a demand or a penalty, and you believe it is incorrect or unfair. Then only you will file appeal, right? So naturally, you want to appeal to the appellant authority. Drafting an appeal is a bit more and involve a simple reply to a notice. Is so because you have a formally lay out the grounds of appeal, maybe the reference case laws also, etc. The slide emphasized the crafting of appeal required clear articulation of grounds and referring the specific GST acts. In other words, you may say that very precisely about why the order should be overturned. Was there a misinterpretation of law or there is a factual mistake? And you need to back up your point with the law section of GST Acts. So the chat GPT prompt example here is draft an appeal to the appellant authority under the GST Act against the assessment order has attached in the PDF arguing the specific here. So let's get to the 1 second. I will just uh, copy the prompt. Now we will attach one of the order. Change the prompt here. The order is getting attached. It has given me the background, the grounds of appeal, along with the case laws, the ground three, relief sought, and the citation and all that, right? Uh, so even you have added a missing point or fixed something, it might be easier than writing an appeal from a scratch. And if you're not someone who draft an appeal every day, then having a template from AI can give you a confidence that you aren't forgetting standard points of formal language, right? You can also prompt it further, like including a reference to a circular number so and so if it is relevant. But checking on this draft is very essential because I would like to add one fiasco in the hallucination case law that has happened. That is a quick short story I want to share here is why we must verify the AI output, especially for the legal stuff. Very recently, a Bangalore tax tribunal has to withdraw an order because it turned out the order citing court judgment that doesn't exist apparently. Having relied on an AI tool like ChatGPT, which has fabricated those case citations, imagine the embarrassment. Quoting a fake Supreme Court case, right? This shows then that while AI can suggest case law, we must check each one in a proper legal database. The AI in that instance likely tried to please the user to generating something that sounds like a legitimate case reference, but it is not otherwise. So use AI to get leads on our recent case law, but always cross-verify before including them in your appeal file. Most of them, I personally use AI to get the case, and then I find the actual case text also. So in drafting a GST appeal, AI can handle the structure, the language, and even the points towards it, supporting the authority, saving you a lot of time. But the human touch is your professional scrutiny and is what polish into winning an appeal. So it is the collaboration that AI lays the groundwork and you refine the finalization. So now we go through how AI can assist in analyzing notice and drafting response appeal for both income tax and GST. Now let's talk about some tips to enhance the AI output, basically how to get the best result from these tools, and then we will cover the important ethical consideration to keep in mind. Okay. So enhancing the AI output. You can add specific case details, like if you add the client's name, its PAN number, and assessing year, it will personalize the AI generated document. Next, you can add the supporting document if you have some, like the case we have taken for Section 80C, you can add the LIC policy receipt there. It can summarize and draft the response accordingly. Now, after that, you have to review and fact check about it, and also the notification and regulation in the CBTT website. We have already discussed the tribunal case of hallucination references, so it needs to be done. Another simple example I want to give, maybe you ask an AI to draft a response and it includes a line like, I have been a royal taxpayer for 15 years, which may not be necessary or accurate to include. This floppy you might remove. So it needs to be verified. Or it might confuse one section with another and it prompts was slightly ambiguous. So our professional eyes is needed to fine tune this. One way to improve the output is to use the iterative prompting. That is, for instance, after the first draft from AI, you can say, now check its draft, cover all the issue raised in the notice. Or please incorporate the following additional point. ChatGPT will refine the draft accordingly. So don't hesitate to converse with the AI to get the output just right. By following this practice, giving detailed prompt with the case specific, attaching or coding the evidence, and deliberately reviewing, you will significantly enhance the quality and reliability of AI generated draft. The result is polished document that truly saves your time without compromising on accuracy or professionalism. Now we will continue with the theme of improving the AI usage, moving to some advanced way. AI can assist in appeal draft. First would be analyze the case law analysis. AI rapidly uncovers the relevant precedent that strengthen the appeal argument, supporting well-grounded legal response. It would be argumental suggestion. It will give the effective and pursuance argument to include in appeal, enhance the clarity and impact. It will be data-driven insight, trends analysis, explores recurring pattern in notices and assessments, providing a strategical insights for appeal of such success. Time saving. Overall appeal drafting time is reduced by up to 70%, freeing the CS to focus on high-value advisory. All this point shows that how AI is not just a typing assistant, but a thinking partner in many ways. It can broaden your legal research, suggest the creative arguments, identify the pattern, and the save time. Now, having seen how to maximize it, now let's take the ethical consideration and the best practice that we need to consider. So, with the great power of AI, great responsibility comes. So, the slides tell us that only, that we have to protect the client's data privacy. First and foremost, avoid uploading the sensitive data information to AI tools unless you are using a secured or the platform for it. The free version of AI, if you are using for the first time, then go to the data that are not sensitive enough or confidential in nature. Then the second one I have just emphasized many of time, that is cross-check with the AI output with the official sources also, like the raw rules, CBDT, CBIC sites and all that. Then the transparency and security. Third, transparency. If you highly rely on AI for something substantial, it might be wise to be transparent with the client or colleagues while appropriate that I use AI tools for that. You don't have to say ChatGPT wrote this letter, right? But for instance, if you are using an AI-driven service to analyze the data, you might mention the client that you are using advanced software assistants, which can include AI to ensure the thoroughness. Okay. Some of the accounting firms has banned using public AI for client work due to privacy concern. So other have provided an approval that the secured AI tools to employees. So if you are in practice, you might establish your own policy. We use AI for drafting genetic content, but never for uploading client's document, unless permission and proper safeguards are in place. This way, you are transparent internally to the clients also. So the key ethical best practice, keep the data's client safe and verify everything. Now that we covered the do's and don'ts, let's look on the bright side again. How it will help for the human CAs in India. This slide is close to my heart as it talks about how embarrassing AI can particularly benefit the woman CA. Of course, this benefit applies broadly to everyone, but there is a special significance for many women professionals who juggles multiple roles. It will increase the efficiency, that is, automate the routine task, allow handling a high case volumes with reduced efforts and stress. It improves the accuracy, reduce the human errors, ensuring the compliance and precise response to tax and GST notices. It enhances the client service, faster turnover times that enables us CAs to serve client promptly and provide a well-informed advice. And you will ultimately find a work-life balance with it, uh, allowing the women profession to achieve a better personal and professional harmony. For example, I want to share a personal story. I know a colleague, a mother of two, who recently started using ChatGPT to draft its routine email and report. She told me it saves her so much of time that she is now leaving the office at a reasonable hour, pick up her kid, and then maybe later on at night just quickly review the AI drafted stuff rather than writing from the scratch. She is delivering the same quality of work but with lesser time spent in office. So the message to the women CA here is don't be hesitant to adopt the technology. It can actually be for your area in balancing the skill. Instead of viewing tech as something intermediary, see it as a mean to lighter your load and emphasize your impact. You can take on ambitious project because you have a secret weapon that is AI to assist you. And you can also reclaim some personal time, which is so crucial for a long-term success and happiness. So now let's see the journey, what AI is, how to use for notices and the do's and don'ts also, right? So the future of AI. It embodies the AI, the same thing, I guess. So finally, join the revolution. This is exciting time in the finance profession. We're essentially at the forefront of the new way. Think of it and as a tax revolutionary in accounting tax by being today and discussing AI in future. So motivating to all the CA professions, especially the women CAs, that it might be simple as starting to use the chat GPT for drafting the routine email or seeking a second opinion on a tax provision. Start somewhere. Build your confidence with the tool and gradually integrate into more tasks. By doing so, you will find that you can take on new challenges because AI in handling some of the heavy lifting. It is professionally rewarding and personally liberating. Smart Finance 2.0 isn't just a catchy name. It symbolizes a smarter way of working in finance using AI. The future is now, and it is our to seize. Let's embrace this technology and lead the change in our field, ensuring that we grow our career while also achieving the balance and fulfilling we all see. Thank you for being such an attentive participant. I hope you are living with some concrete idea on how to apply AI in your day-to-day life. I encourage you, maybe not today, maybe this week at least, try one of the AI prompt or tool we have discussed on a real problem you have. See what results you get. You might be pleasantly surprised. If time permit, can we take few of the questions?
Good evening, ma'am. This is CA
Yeah.
Tanushree Patil.
Yeah.
Before we move ahead, I would like to invite CA Preeti Salva, ma'am.
Okay, yeah.
Tanushree ma'am, Preeti ma'am is joining shortly. She is in need of meeting. So you please take up the question till then. Huh?
Okay, fine, sure.
Okay, we'll end the meeting. We'll
Okay,
end this webinar after her address only.
Okay, yeah.
okay, ma'am. So, ma'am, there are certain questions related to the data confidentiality and privacy asked by V. Subhashni. She's asking if we upload documents directly to Chat GPT, is there any possibility of confidential or personal information being, that is the main concern.
Yeah, the one is the free version of ChatGPT. If you upload the document in that one, actually the confidentiality gets break because the data that we upload in the free version get transferred or it gets uploaded in OpenAI. So, if you are using it for your professional work, I would suggest that should take a paid version for it and then draft the documents.
Okay,
I
thank you,
guess
ma'am.
I have, yeah, I guess
Another
I have
question by
answered the question, right?
Gayatri. She's asking. Yeah, I think so. Well, the next question is, please share your thoughts on ICI GPT.
ICI GPT. Okay. It is a great initiative by ICI. Even I use that GPT many of times. It has various uh, industry-wise, even as per the act-wise GPTs. I haven't shared that, but it is also very useful for us.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Uh, the next question is by Medha Parthasarthi. Do you agree that AI would bring in redundancy in a very big way?
Redundancy in case.
We agree that AI would bring in redundancy in a very big way in like professional life and work thing.
No, it is not a substitute to professional work, but just it will help the person with who knows AI will get an edge over the person who are not having that.
Okay. One question is by Mamta Daga. Whether free version of
Hi,
chat.
before the question comes, let me rope in over here. Hello, everyone,
Yes, ma'am.
and this
Welcome,
is
ma'am.
yeah,
Welcome.
this is our 58th session of Yashaswini and Idol, and we had a very good session today by Manjari on the social impact assessment and role of CAs, and also by Sakshi on Smart Finance 2.0. And I am happy to share with all of you that I am the first social auditor of India, and we have Institute of Social Auditor of India. And friends, this is like very upcoming area on sustainability, social audits, and listing of NPOs on social stock exchange. So one should always take benefit of it and become a social auditor. We are also running a training course on becoming the social auditor, and on Saturday is the last session for the same. Similarly, friends, I would also like to share with all of you, we have come out with a residential refresher course for all women chartered accountants, which is scheduled on 13th, 14th, and 15th of June at Hyderabad Center of Excellence. And best of the faculties and best of the structure is planned. So various professional opportunities plus the artificial intelligence and role of technology, how we can improve the efficiency of work and work life balance, prioritization of work and time management. All these sessions are structured, women entrepreneurship, women leadership, as well as we are also invited Mrs. World, Mrs. India in that RRC. So, and one of the unique theme is group discussion in the RRC, where there are 5 case studies which will be circulated to everyone in advance, where you have to discuss, deliberate, and there will be the group discussions in 4 groups. There will be group leader, and then paper writer will discuss, and there are real time issues which are embedded in the case study. So these group discussions, groups will discuss on these case studies. So these are the sessions which are going on, will be there. So we have extended the early bird discount also. So I invite all of you to this RRC and ensure that you take benefit of this RRC. With these words, I really compliment all my speakers, Manjari, Sakshi, and all my moderators, Nilasha, Priya, Namrata, and Tanushri, for taking the benefit of this platform, which is for women by women. And over to you, Tanushri.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. So such a pleasure to hear you. Okay.
म्यूट
So,
करा
ma'am, one more question
अभी
to
आप
Sakshi,
लोग
ma'am.
जब भी सेशन करते हो तो बीच में अनाउंस तो RR
Hello. Yeah. Sakshi, ma'am, one question is how to use redact feature where we can black out the confidential information.
Which system?
Redact feature.
Okay, I'm not aware of this.
Okay. And one question I want to ask for myself, to what extent can we rely on AI while drafting the notice, reply, or appeal?
Just for a draft. After that, everything you have to review it as per your convenience and even have to cross check with the section numbers, with the case laws, and even everything. Just the cumulative drafting that we have to start with the scratch, how we can start it, or the what legal words we can use. For that only we can rely on ChatGPT.
Okay. Otherwise, for rest of the thing, we have to,
Yeah,
you have to sit and you have
yeah,
to do this.
yeah.
Okay. Okay,
But
ma'am.
with this also, 70% of our job is done as the
Right.
basic draft is ready. Yeah.
Agree. Agree. Okay, ma'am. So with that, I don't think any other questions is there. Everyone seems to be on the same page. So no questions so far. So on behalf of Women and Young Member Excellence Committee of ICI, I thanks to our wonderful speaker, Ms. Sakshi Agrawal, for prizing us and also express my gratitude for taking time to join the session, making it successful. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you all for here to embrace the smart finance 2.0. And we should take it a brighter and more balanced future.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.